It's obviously highly variable. But it was actually cheaper for us in those days to do the facilities. And then we never pivoted when the facilities went to a 30 to 40% margin on our business that exceeded the self-referral. Plus they had self-referral, which is obviously narrowing. Blue Cross was very slow with it and didn't act very quickly. And then the hospitals were acting much more quickly to consolidate. And we often don't have good non-facility alternatives. And I just within the last 6 months, I've been given a responsibility for the payment model for ambulatory surgical facilities. And my dilemma was until we transferred all of the hospital payments from a pass-through model where they just get an extra percentage to one where we say this is what the fee is. Every time I give a fee increase to the ambulatory surgery center, I'm amplifying it and giving a bigger increase to the facilities, and I'm aggravating the problem. By the end of this year, we should have this straightened out, and I can start to pay in the office and ambulatory care facility centers without it automatically increasing the pay for facilities.
So that's coming, is what you're saying.
That is coming. But you know, a lot of this is still nipping at the edges. We really have to think of a system that that creates a payment model on the facility side that's aligned. Because while it's true that the facilities have shaped our payment model, it's also true that it's going to be game over in terms of having commercial payers to cross-subsidize the government programs, because it's all going to be government programs. And people are just going to have to make strategic decisions over the reality that we have an $800 billion budget deficit, and that does not count the increasing percent that they're going to have to pay on all the $19 trillion of bonds that they have to support. There is no financial way where 5 years from now anybody can even talk about an unaffordable system like this, and we are all trapped in it. We're sort of going to go down with the ship, and I'm hoping that people realize that if we don't actually take the risk of agreeing on a model that allows us to really focus on patient care rather than this other stuff, that we're just going, it really will be Medicare for all, and there's going to be good and bad associated with that, but my feeling is that we'll all regret the missed opportunity of designing it the way we thought we should, and it's not easy to do that. But it is worth thinking about, you know, these types of things.
How do you get the legal involved in that?
The legal?
Because let's face it, people are ordering scans or doing other things because it's not about ED that some people are putting in the hospital. Are they doing that because they're afraid of getting sued? And it isn't their money getting an MRI, or it isn't their, you know, but if a patient sues them, it costs a lot of money.
I don't think that's driving it as much. We see, obviously, maternity is a big thing that has a lot of lawsuits, but I'm not really seeing liability stuff that drives it as much as it did 5 years ago, or 10. It's still obviously a real issue, but I think the biggest issue is just a broken payment model that confines professionals to only delivering the services that are payable, that doesn't allow us to sort of get beyond that, and is literally creating a model where the only responsible thing a health system can do is bulk up and demand more. And for example, we've had communities where the first system to demand more and get it starts buying all the physicians away from the other system. And the other system is saying, I need to ask for more money because I'm losing what I have, because it's all going to the other group that's paid more. So then they have to ask for more so that they can get into the sort of bidding war. And we're creating a cycle that we're literally creating winners for the people who do it. And so I really want to emphasize, I don't want to say there's bad guys in this, but there is non-productive behavior that you just see it all over the place. Yes?
Can you address the probably the logic behind 20% reduction you guys are instituting the 0.5 modifier.
Oh, yes,
And,
yes.
and, I mean, everybody knows that physicians' salaries are only 10% of all healthcare. But then, some say it's 12, some say it's 8, whatever. But I mean, especially our specialty, journalism, and some other specialties, we're going to be inexorably hit hard with that modifier. I mean, the margins that we work on in an office are going to be,
Well, it isn't really a high.
I mean, but yet in the overall picture, you're not saving that much money.
Okay, well, let me explain the reasoning that we had when we were working on that. Now, and I guarantee you, it will not be reasoning that everyone's going to jump up and say that sounds like reasoning to me. But this is what it was. So we met with a dermatologist and said, well, what about the example of a person who's coming in for acne who you notice a suspicious lesion and you do a procedure to take care of that lesion, and you take care of it that day. Scenario 1. Scenario 2 is a patient comes in for acne and you notice a suspicious lesion and you have him come in the next day. So when we looked at it, we said, okay, on the first day, if you did it on the first day, you don't have to room the patient twice, you don't have to take the vitals twice, you don't have to actually do the skin, sort of eyeballing the whole skin in order to, so there were certain things, not a lot of things, but a certain amount that were saved in scenario 1 versus scenario 2. We thought it was appropriate to bill with modifier 25, and we didn't argue with that, but we thought that there were fewer services on fewer RVUs firming up, so to speak, on the doing it all in one day. And so we thought that the 20% relative on the E&M reflected a relatively modest haircut. We paid $2.3 million in the PPL. This is something that's worth about $4 to $5 million. This is not, overall amount of money. It isn't a very big amount of money. But what I was doing is I gave the 2% increase on the conversion factors, all went up 2%. I was limited to 40 million, and I wanted to pay for another program to actually allow physicians to use modifier 22 on various opioid reduction processes of care, and that was going to cost me about 3 to 4 million a year. And so I looked around asking for what are proposals that we could fund this other thing by giving a haircut. And it is true in our payment model, it's still true that the proceduralists do a lot better than the non-proceduralists. So I thought, well, this is only going to be mostly impacting proceduralists rather than non-proceduralists. And it's not a lot of money, and it enables me to do the other program, which we're also starting on July 1st. We're working out the logistics of it. But sinus surgery is, in fact, one of the first 6 surgeries, our first 6 things that we were working with M Open on this, and they gave me the list of initial procedures, and sinus procedures were one. So it is actually got another way. And then if you build modifier 22, we're gonna pilot it at U of M just to try to get the payment model done right, and then we're going to extend it throughout the state. As it turns out, when you use modifier 22, there's a field that you have to actually put an attestation saying it meets the criteria. We're not going to require medical records, but you do have to sort of attest, criteria, opioid criteria met. And we were going to pay for the procedure 35% more in an automated way for opioid reduced or free sinus surgery. So that was basically the exchange. And I am with a number of people who are going to explain to me why the services perform substantially independent from the two things. But I think if we actually, that's implying that if our auditors see overlap that's recognizable, they may feel that 100% becomes their rationale. And so I was actually thinking that this may actually protect people from getting audited and saying the modifier 25 is inappropriate because the health plan's already taken its 20% out. It's justified to use a 25 modifier because we do a lot of use of that modifier, way more on than a couple of those modifiers, and modifier 25 is one of them. So that was the other side of this thing, is I thought that would sort of cause peace there.
When you're talking about opioid free, are you talking about like the mapping of like less than 3 days of opioids or
Something like that. I'm
totally free?
No, not totally free. I'm
Just
using
the-
criteria.
free-
I'm using criteria that are given to me by MOpen, and the criteria are different for each procedure. I have not yet read the stuff on that, but I don't know how many of you know Mike Inglesby, but he's now the head of the surgical collaborative, and after Skip Campbell retired, and they are giving me the criteria. This is not. I want the criteria to be that you can look at the case and you can say yes or no. But you know, one of the things is you don't know that somebody's going to call you 2 days later. So we're putting in the crates at least a 10% failure rate and still not lose the extra 35%. Yes.
The folks that are doing that, are general surgeons.
I really don't
So
know.
how would they know, how would they incorporate their concept for over-the-air knowledge? I mean, for companies, we're really switching to some lawyers, and cut down the operations, or give IV Tylenol right before the kid goes home, and it really cuts down the opioids. Well, they figure out into their plan.
Yeah, not adults.
No.
That's okay, children and
Well,
parents.
actually, the adults, I know some adults who have IV Tylenol post-op and even in the hospital, and they